Zebulun, Elon, I, the Tetragrammaton, the Lord God Most High, I do exercise thee and do powerfully command thee, O Spirit. Elon, I, the Tetragrammaton, the Lord God Most High, I do exercise thee and do powerfully command.
In the dark shadows, in the white cold, fearlessly we search for knowledge new and old. We drink the strong spirits and read the ancient tomes. The order of the Abracast. We are the brave and the bold. Occult, history, conspiracy, and violence.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Abracast. I'm John Towers. Thank you for joining me. I'm trying to ramp the energy. Up. I got we had some bad news. There was unexpected death in the family this week, so next week is going to be a little bit hectic for me, but it shouldn't affect anything on the podcast and whatnot. So just trying to get my energy up and get ready and get through this thing. So this week we're going to be kind of latching on to last week's The Solar Man idea. And I wanted to retouch on some of these astrological houses or zodiac signs before we move forward. Just sort of like retouching on them. With all the things that we talk about on the show, astrology is probably the weakest point that I have. I think I might have mentioned that last week. I've been kind of staring at the book collection, going, "Oh, eventually I'm going to have to get into these." And now is just the time to do it. So this evening we're going to start off with the Encyclopedia of Occultism by Spence. I'm just going to briefly go through these zodiac signs again. All right, so yeah, let's do it. I need a bookmark here. So I wanted to start by talking about the triplicities again. And what it is, it's the 12 zodiac signs broken down by the elements. So the earthly triplicity would be Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. The air triplicity would be Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. The fire triplicity would be Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And the water triplicity would be Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. I think those are all pretty self-explanatory, maybe except Aquarius being an air sign. We might have to retouch on that if it comes back up, because we all know it's the water, right? So we are going to proceed with the signs. We're going to start at Taurus. It's a cold, dry, earthly, melancholy, feminine, fixed and nocturnal, southern in the night house of Venus. When influential in nativity, it usually produces a person with a broad forehead, thick lips, dark curling hair, of quantity rather brutal, melancholy, and slow in anger. but when outraged, violent, furious, and difficult to be appeased. The diseases under this sign attack the throat, the scrofula, the quinsy, in posthumes, and the wens. I don't know what any of that means. The sign rules the neck and the throat. We covered that with the solar man idea from the 3 books of occult philosophy by Agrippa last week. Gemini is masculine, diurnal, aerial, hot, and moist. The native is tall and straight of body with long arms. The hand and feet well formed, and the complexion rather dark. The hair brown and the eyes hazel, strong and active in a person. Sound and acute in judgment, lively, playful, and generally skillful in business. Diseases under this sign, those to which the arms, hands, and shoulders are subject, with aneurysms, frenzies, and insanity. Watch out now. So Cancer is the only house of the moon, and it is the first sign in the watery northern triplicity. It is watery, cold, moist, phlegmatic, feminine, movable, nocturnal, exceedingly fruitful sign, more so than any other. The native is fair and pale, short and small. The upper part of the body is larger in proportion to the lower. A round face, light hair, blue-gray eyes, phlegmatic and heavy in disposition, weak in constitution, and of a small voice. The disorders are of the breast and stomach, over which parts the sign rules. It goes on to list stuff here. Leo, his sign is of a very different nature. It is the only house of the sun. This is why in like medieval drawings and stuff we see lions eating the sun. You know, and this is why the lions are crowned and all this other kind of stuff. Fiery, hot, dry, masculine, choleric, commanding, eastern, and very barren sign. When this sign ascends in a nativity, the individual will be of a tall and powerful frame, well shaped in a store continents of light yellowish hair, large piercing eyes, and commanding aspect with a ruddy complexion. Thomas Jefferson, is that you? This character will be fierce and cruel, but yet open, generous, and courteous. Among the diseases, let's see, the heart, over which together with the back and the vertebrae, my neck, my back, my vertebrae, it rules fevers, plagues, jaundice, pleurisy, and it governs places of the woods and all this. Virgo is an earthly, cold, dry, barren, feminine, southern, melancholy, commanding sign. It is the house and the exaltation of Mercury. The native is handsome and well-shaped, slender, of middle stature, and of clear, ruddy, or brown complexion, dark hair and eyes, the face rather round, the voice sweet and clear, but not strong. The character, amiable and benevolent, witty and studious, but not persevering. Not opposed by planetary aspects, apt to oratory. The sign rules the viscera, and is answerable for all the disease affecting them. Sagittarius is a hot, fiery, dry, masculine, diurnal, eastern, common, bicipial, obeying sign. The day house of joy of Jupiter. The day house and joy of Jupiter. The native is well formed and rather above middle stature, with fine chestnut hair, and handsome, and body strong, stout, and hardy. He is inclined to horsemanship and to field sports, careless. This sign rules the hips and is the cause of gout. Damn you, Sagittarius! Rheumatism, and disorders which affect the muscles. Accidents and disorders occasioned by interference come under the government of this sign. Capricorn is an earthly, cold, dry, feminine, nocturnal, movable, cardinal, solitarian, domestic, southern, quadruple sign in the house of Saturn. In the exaltation, the native is of slender stature, long, thin countenance, a small beard, dark hair and eyes, a long neck, a narrow chest and chin. Tall, usually though not always, a disposition cheerful and collected, talented and upright, ruling the knees and the hips. It governs all diseases which afflict them, and also diseases such as leprosy, etc., melancholy diseases such as hypochondriasis, etc., melancholy diseases, and hysteria, the Aquarius. It's a hot, airy, moist, rational, fixed, humane, diurnal, sanguine, masculine, western obeying sign, the day house of Saturn. The native is well-made and robust person, rather above the middle stature, long face, but pleasing and delicate countenance, clear, bright complexion with flaxen hair, often sandy, of a disposition fair, open, and honest. This sign rules the legs and the ankles, and causes all diseases which afflict them: lameness, swelling, cramp, and again, gout. Pisces, watery, cold, moist, feminine, phlegmatic, nocturnal, common, bicorporeal, northern, idle, effeminate, sickly, and extremely fruitful sign, no less so than Cancer, the house of Jupiter, and the exaltation of Venus. The native is short, ill-shaped, fleshy, not very corpulent, with thick round shoulders, light hair, and the eyes, the complexion pale, the head and face large, of a weak and vacillating disposition, well-meaning but devoid of energy. This sign rules the feet and causes lameness of every kind of disorder by watery humors of... So it seems like I skipped over a few. Did I do Libra? I feel like I missed some. Libra is a sign, aerial, sanguine, hot, moist. I might have did that one. Scorpio is a house of Mars, cold, phlegmatic, feminine, nocturnal, fixed, northern, watery sign. The native is a strong, robust, corpulent body of middle stature, broad visage, dark, not clear complexion, dark gray eyes or light brown, black hair, thick neck. Where did Aries go? I skipped myself. This is crazy. I can't find Aries in this book. It's like they start at Taurus. Hold on, I'm fucking flabbergasted. Alright, anyhow, I'm not going to let this slow me down. We're just going to flip here to Advanced Astrology for Life by Constance Stellas, and we'll just fill in the blanks here with Aries. It's a cardinal fire sign, ruled by Mars. Part of the body ruled by Aries is the face and the head. Frequently, Aries people have pronounced brows. They resemble their symbols. The ram. Aries loves to butt heads with life and assert their individuality. Their campaign causes for social justice, or social causes, not social justice. The Aries personality can provide the spark for launching any project into activity. They have energy to burn and are frequently the leaders, yada, yada, yada. The other book was better. I can't figure out why I can't find it in here. It's so crazy. All right, well, according to the Encyclopedia of Occultism, Aries doesn't exist. No, I'm just kidding. But according to the Encyclopedia of Occultism here, planets, when we start talking about planets, which we're going to do next, their influence and effect of the planets are still more important than those of the signs. So we're going to flip here to, let's see, we're going to flip back to Agrippa, the 3 books of occult philosophy and of magic. We're going to talk about the sun. What stars, natural things, and what things are under the sun, which are called solari. Now, it's very hard to know the star or sign of everything is under. Yet it is known through the imitations of their rays or their motions of figure, and their superiors also are known by their colors and their odors. Some of them are known also by their effects, their operations, answering to some stars. So then, solarly things are under the power of the sun. They are amongst elements, the lucid flame, in the humors, the pure blood, the spirit of life, amongst tastes that which is quick mixed with the sweetness, amongst metals, gold, by reason of its splendor and its receiving that from the sun which makes it cordial. And amongst stones, they which resemble the rays of the sun by their golden sparklings, as doth the glittering stone Atidis, which hath power against the falling sickness and of poisons. Also, the stone called the eye of the sun, being of a figure like the apple of the eye, from the middle whereof shines forth a ray, and it comforts the brain, and strengthens the sight. So the carbuncle which shines by night hath a virtue against all airy and vaporous poisons. So the crystallite stone, which is of a light green color, in which, when it is held against the sun, there shines forth the golden star, and this comforts those parts that serve for breathing and helps those to be asthmatical. And if it is bore through and the whole filled with the mane of an ass and is bound to the left arm, it drives away idle imaginations and melancholy fears, and puts away foolishness. So the stone called iris, which is like crystal in color, being often found with 6 corners, when under some roof part of it is held against the rays of the sun, and the other parts is held in the shadow, and it gathers the rays of the sun to itself, which whilst it sends them forth by way of reflection, makes a rainbow appear on the opposite wall. Also the stone of the heliotrope, green like the jasper or emerald beset with red specks, makes a man constant, renowned, and famous. Also it conduceth to a long life and a virtue of it. Indeed, it's most wonderful upon the beams of the sun, which is said to turn into blood, to appear of the color of blood, as if the sun were eclipsed, when it is joined to the juice of an herb of the same name, and put into a vessel of water. There is also another virtue of its more wonderful, and upon the eyes of men who sight it doth so dim and dazzle, and it doth not suffer him, and carries it to see it, And this it doth not do with the help of the herb of the same name, which is also called heliotrope, following the sun. These virtues doth Albertus Magnus and William of Paris confirm in their writings. The stone hyacinth also hath a virtue from the sun against poisons and pestiferous vapors. All right, so maybe we'll just make this into a list. So there's also plants, right? Mint, mastic, zodiary, saffron, balsam, amber, musk, yellow, honey, lingam, aloes, cloves, cinnamon, calamus, aromatics, pepper, frankincense, sweet mamajam. Amongst animals, the lion, it's the circle of life. The lion, the king of beasts, the crocodile, the spotted wolf, the ram, the boar, the bull, king of the herd, which was by the Egyptians at Heliopolis dedicated to the sun, which they called Verities, and an ox who was consecrated to Apis in Memphis. And in Herminthus, a bull by the name of Pathias, and a wolf was also consecrated to Apollo in Latonia. Their beast called a baboon is solarly, which is 12 times a day. It barks in the time of the Equinoctium. Mikathurith 12 times every hour. The same also it doth in the night, whom the Egyptians did engrave upon fountains. So more solarly animals, birds, the phoenix, the eagle, the queen of birds, the vulture, the swan, and those who sing at the rising sun. The cock and the crow and the hawk, because the divinity of the Egyptians is an emblem of the spirit and the light of the by Phorophyrus, reckoned among the solarly birds. Fish. Sea calf is chiefly solarly, who doth resist the lightning, also the shellfish and the fish called pulmo, both of which shine in the night, and the fish called Stella for its parching heat, and the fish called Strumby, and the following their king a Margari, which also have a king being dried or hardened into stone of a golden color. All right, so we're moving on to lunarly. The things are lunarly under the power of the moon. These elements are water. We know this. This is the card of psychological crisis in the tarot deck, the moon card. As well as that in the sea as the rivers. And all moist things. As the moisture of trees and animals, especially they which are white, and the whiteness of eggs, fat, sweat, phlegm, superfluidities of bodies, amongst taste, salt, and insipid, among metals, silver, amongst stone, crystal, the stones that are white and green, stones like selenite. I have a gigantic block of selenite right here on my two pillars. Shining from the white body with a yellow brightness, imitating the motion of the moon by having it as the figure of the moon, which daily increaseth or decreaseth, as doth the moon. Also pearls, which are generated in the shells of fishes, and stalactites formed from the droppings of water. Also beryl, aquamarine, greenish, and six-sided. So we have plants. And trees that are lunary. as the Salian tropion, which turns towards the moon and doth the heliotropion towards the sun, the palm tree, which sends forth a bough at every rising of the new moon, hyssop. That we know this from when we did our Water of the Art operation. Rosemary, Angus, Castius, the olive tree are all lunary. Herbs like chinosta, which increaseth and decreaseth with the moon, the substance and the number of leaves, which indeed is in some sort common to all plants except onions, which last are under the influence of Mars, have contrary properties. Amongst flying things, the Saturnine bird called a quail is a great enemy to the moon and the sun. Lunarly animals are such a delight to be in man's company, and such as do naturally excel in love or hatred, as all kinds of dogs. Again, this reminds me of the moon card. Chameleon is also lunarly, which always assumes the color according to the variety of the color of the object, as the moon changeth in her nature according to the variety of the signs in which it is found in. Lunarly also are swine, hinds, goats, and all those animals whatsoever that observe and imitate the motion of the moon, as the baboon, as the panther, which is said to have a spot upon her shoulder like the moon, increasing into a roundness and having horns that bend inward. Cats are also lunarly, whose eyes become greater or lesser according to the course of the moon, and those things which are of like nature as cantamenial blood, of which are made wonderful and strange things by magicians. The civet cat also changing her sex with the moon, and being obnoxious to divers sorceries, and all animals that live in the water as well as on the land, as otters, such as prey upon fish, also monsters and beasts, such as without any manifest seed are equivocally generated, as mice, which sometimes seem to be generated in the putrefaction of the earth. This was written a long time ago, bros. Amongst fowl, geese, ducks, all kinds of watery fowl that prey upon fish, and the heron, and those who are equivocally produced as wasps of the carcasses of horses, bees with the putrefaction of cows, small flies be putrefied wine, and beetles in the flesh of asses. But most lunarly of all is the two-horned beetle, horned in the manner of a bull, which digs under cow dung, and there remains for the space of 28 days, in which time the moon measures the whole zodiac. And in the 29th day, when it thinks there will be a conjuration of the brightest, it opens the dung and casts it into the water, from whence then come beetles. Amongst fish that are, this one is really good, fish these are that are lunary, is the Illustrious, whose eyes are changing according to the course of the moon, and whatsoever observes the motion of the moon, as the tortoise, crabs, oysters, cockles, and frogs. What things are Saturnine, or under the power of Saturn? Saturnine things amongst elements are earth and also water. Amongst humors, black choler, that is moist as well as natural, and adventitious, which means a just color accepted. Amongst taste, sour, tart, and dead-like. Amongst metals, lead and gold by reason of its weight, and the gold, marcasite. Amongst stones, the onyx, the zizia, the sapphire, the brown jasper, the chalcedon, the lodestone, and all dark, weighty, earthy things. Amongst plants, trees, and daffodils, and dragon's wort, rue, and cumin. You know, that's the key to blackened chicken Caesar salad, by the way, is cumin. Blackening chicken, you need cumin. It's also the key to homemade taco seasoning. Hellebore, and the tree from whence benzoin comes, mandrake, opium, and those things which are never sown and never bear fruit. And those things which bring forth berries of a dark color, and black fruit, and black fig trees, and pine trees, and cypress trees, and a certain tree used at burials, which never springs afresh with berries, rough of a bitter taste, and of strong smell of a black shadow, yielding a moist sharp pitch, bearing a moist or a most unprofitable fruit, never dies which with age, deadly, and dedicated to Pluto, as if the herb pass flower, with which they were wont anciently. They won't anciently. So, if you guys are wondering why I'm having problems with this, they kept all the spelling and grammatical problems with this text, so a lot of things I gotta like sound out and put together that's weird, right? I mean, it's such an old book anyways. That won't anciently to strew the graves before they put the dead bodies into them, wherefore it was lawful to make their garlands at feasts with all herbs and flowers besides past flowers, because it was mournful and not conducting to mirth. Also creeping animals living apart and solitary, nightly, sad, contemplative, dull, covetous, fearful, melancholy, that take much pains, slow, that feed grossly, and such as eat their young. Of these kinds, therefore, are the mole and the wolf, the ass, the toad, the cat, the hog, the bear, the camel, the basilisk, awesome, the hare, the ape, the dragon, the mule, all serpents, all creeping things, scorpions and ants, and such things as proceed from the putrefaction, the earth and the water, or in the ruins of houses, as mice and many sorts of vermin. Among birds are the saturnine, which have long necks and harsh voices, such as cranes, ostriches, and peacocks, which are dedicated to Saturn and Juno. Also the screech owl, the horned owl, the bat, the lapwing, the crow, the quail, the most envious birds of all. Amongst fishes, the eel, living apart from all other fish, the lamprey, the dogfish, which devours her young, also the tortoise, oysters, cockles, which may be added, sea sponges, and all such things as come of them. What things under the power of Jupiter and are called jovial? Things under Jupiter amongst elements are the air, amongst humors, the blood and the spirit of life. Also all things which respect and increase nourishment and vegetation of the life, amongst tastes such as sweet and pleasant, amongst metals, tin, silver, and gold by reason of their temperaturness, amongst stones of hyacinth, beryl, sapphire, emerald, green, jasper, and all those of airy color, amongst plants and trees, sea green, garden basil, mace, spike, mint, mastic, Ella campaign, and violent darnel, habane, the poplar tree, and those which are called lucky trees, as the oak, The horse chestnut, which is like an oak but much larger, the holm or the holly tree, the beech tree, the hazel tree, the service tree, the white fig tree, the pear tree, the apple tree, the vine, the plum tree, the ash, the dogwood tree, the olive tree, and also oil tree. Also all manner of corn and barley as wheat. Also raisins, licorice, sugar, and all such things, sweetness and manifest and subtle, partaking somewhat in astringent of sharp taste, are nuts and almonds, pineapples, filiberts, pistachio nuts, myrobalan, rhubarb, the manna, Orpheus adds storex amongst animals that have, there are animals that have wisdom in them. Those are trained or up to good disposition, as the hart and the elephant. And those which are gentle as sheep and lambs. Amongst birds are those of temperate complexion, such as hens, together with the yolk of their eggs. Also the partridge, the pheasant, the swallow, the cuckoo, the stork, the pelican, birds given to a kind of devotion which emblems of gratitude. The eagle is dedicated to Jupiter. She is the ensign of emperors and the emblem of justice and clemency. Amongst fish are dolphins, the fish called anchovy, and the sheath or sheet fish by reason of its devoutness. I don't know how you can measure devoutness of a fish. That's interesting. Also, newsflash, Agrippa, dolphins, come on. So this is interesting. I'm just looking back at this Jupiter thing. This is called Jovial. Look, wheat, barley, so there's beer, sugar, candy, things such as sweetness. So these are things that make people jovial. You get happy. You get in a party mood when you're, drinking beer and eating candy, right? That's interesting. Because I was looking forward here, and the next one we're going to be doing is what things are under the power of Mars and are called martial. And I'm like, I never put martial law or martial arts. I never equated that with Mars. So I don't know. What do you guys think? That's interesting, right? I guess we're going to get into it. Because it's all about, here, it just says it, fire and sharp things, humors, choler, bitter taste, tart, the burning of the tongue and causing tears. Amongst metals, iron and red brass and all fiery red, sulfurous things, stones, diamonds, lodestones, bloodstones, the jasper, the stone that, amethyst, among plants and trees, hellebore, garlic, castina, ammonia, radish, the laurels, the sweet bay, wolf's bane, scamony, poisonous, by reason of too much heat. Those are beset around by prickles or touching the skin, burn it, prick it, make it swell, as the nettle, the crow foot, and such being eaten cause tears, such as onions. That's why onions are martial. That's interesting. In the sun area, they were like pretty much all plants, except for the onions. We'll get into that later. It's because onions make you cry. That's interesting. Ascalona, leeks, mustard seed. If you're making your own pickles, make sure you grab a big thing of mustard seed. You're going to need it. And thorny trees, the dogwood tree, dedicated to Mars, and all such animals are warlike, ravenous, bold, and of clear fancy as the horse, the mule, the goat, the kid, the leopard, the wild ass. Serpents, also such as dragons, full of displeasure and poison. Snakes aren't poisonous. Snakes are venomous. Also, such are offensive to men as gnats, flies. And here we go. For the third entry, making its third appearance on the list, baboons, by reason of his anger. All birds that are ravenous devour flesh or break bones. The eagle, the falcon, the hawk, the vulture, those are called the fatal birds. The horned owl, the screech owl, the castrels and kites, and such as are the hungry and ravenous, and such as make a noise in their swallowing as crows, daws, and the pie. I wonder if it's a magpie. Which above all the rest is dedicated to Mars amongst fishes, because the magpie steals stuff, doesn't it? It like finds flashy things to take. And amongst fishes, the pike, the barbel, the forkfish, the fish that hath horns like a ram, the sturgeon, the glacis, which are the great devourers, and ravenous. It also sounds like Galactus. So we're going to do the power of Venus. So let's get into it. Venus. The things under the power of Venus that are called venereal. Is that right? Venereal. These things, do you want to bet where this is going? Things that are under Venus. Amongst elements, air and water. Amongst humors, phlegm with blood, spirit and seed. Amongst tastes, those which are sweet and delectable. Amongst metals, silver and brass, both yellow and red. Amongst stones, the beryl, crystallite, emerald, sapphire, green jasper, carnelian, the stone, atites again, and lazuli, coral, fair, various white and green colors. Amongst plants and trees, the verivane, which we know from our Water the Art operation. Violet, maiden, valerian, which the Arabians is called fu, and thithymol. Thithymol, for its fragrant and sweet smell. Also thyme, the gum ladulum, ambergris, sanders or sandalwood, coriander, and the sweet perfume and delightful, the sweet fruits as sweet pears and figs and pomegranates, which the poets say were in Cyprus first sown by Venus. Also the rose of Lucifer, dedicated to her, and the myrtle tree of Hesperius. Moreover, all luxurious, delicious animals, and of a strong love, as dogs, conies, odorous sheep, and goats, both male and female, which generate sooner than any other animal. Also the bull for his disdain, and the calf for his wantonness. Amongst birds, the swan, the wagtail, the swallow, the pelican, the burgander, which is very loving to their young. Also the crow and the pigeon, which is dedicated to Venus. And the turtle dove, one wherefore was commanded to be offered at the purification after bringing forth. The sparrow was dedicated to Venus, which was commanded in the law to be used in the purification after the leprosy and the martial disease, that which nothing was of more force to resist. The Egyptians called the eagle by the name of Venus, because she never fails to answer the call of her mate. Amongst fishes, these are the venereal, the lustful plickard, the lecherous gilt head, the whiting for her love for her young, and the crab for fighting its mate. So what things are under the power of Mercury? and are called mercurial. Things under Mercury are these: amongst elements, water. It moves all things indistinctly amongst humors. Those especially which are mixed, as also the animal spirit amongst tastes. Those that are various, strange, and mixed amongst metals, quicksilver, tin, the metal marcasite. Also stones, the emerald, acatate or agate, red marble and topaz, and those are the diverse colors and various figures naturally. And those that are artificial as glass, and those that have color mixed with green and yellow, amongst plants and trees, and the hazel, five-leafed grass, and the herb, mercury, fumitory, pimpernel, mammageram, parsley, and such have shorter and less leaves, being compounded of mixed natures and divers colors. So I'm tripping out because instead of saying diverse, they put divers in. Divers, like scuba divers. Like I said, the spelling's all kind of wonky in this. It's funny trying to get through it. Become easily acquainted with men, such as dogs, weasels, apes, foxes, and the heart of a mule, and all animals that are of both sexes, of those which can change their sex, as the hare, the cat, and the like. Amongst birds, those are naturally witty, melodious, inconstant. The linnet, the nightingale, the blackbird, the lark, the thrush, the gnat snapper, the bird caldera, the parrot, the pie, the bird ibis, the bird forfiero, and the black beetle with one horn, the seabird, trochilus, which goes into the crocodile's mouth for its food. Amongst fishes, the fish called the porcontrel, and the deceitfulness, the the changeableness, the forkfish, the industry, the mullet, also that shakes off the bait on the hooks with his tail. So I'm going to end here. Can I? No, I'll go on for a little bit more. I'm going to do one more chapter here. That the whole sublunary world and those things which are in it are distributed to planets. Whatsoever is found in the whole world is made up according to the governments of the planets, and according received its virtue. So in fire, the enlivening light thereof is under the government of the sun. The heat of it is under Mars, and the earth, the various superficies thereof under the moon, and Mercury, and the starry heaven, and the whole mass of it under Saturn. But in the middle, elements, air under Jupiter, water under the moon, but being mixed are under Mercury and Venus. In the like matter, natural active causes observe the sun, the matter, the moon, the fruitfulness of active causes, Jupiter, and the fruitfulness of the matter of Venus. The sudden affecting of anything, Mars, the Mercury, for his vehemency. This is his dexterity, the manifold virtue. But the permanent continuation of all things is ascribed to Saturn. Also amongst vegetables, everything that bears fruit from Jupiter, and everything that bears flowers from Venus. All seed and bark is from Mercury, and all roots from Saturn, and all wood from Mars, and leaves from the moon. Wherefore all that brings forth fruit are not flowers, are of Saturn and Jupiter. and that they bring forth flowers and seed, and are not fruit, are of Venus and Mercury. Those which are brought forth of their own accord without seed are the moon and stars. All beauty is from a Venus, all strength from Mars, and every planet rules and disposeth that which is like to it. Also in stones, their weight, their calmness, their sliptickiness is of Saturn. Their use and temperance is of Jupiter, their hardness from Mars, their life from the sun, and their beauty and fairness from Venus. Their occult virtue from Mercury, and their common use from the moon. So, okay, well, thank you for tuning in this evening. It looks like we're about up. I'm going to go ahead and end the show, but after the end, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to sort of talk about the person that I lost this week, and the importance that she had, specifically to the show. I know it's weird. Yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Like I said, I don't think anything's going to wind up changing with the recording schedule. After taking a month and a half break, I'm not going to leave you guys out to fucking dry. It's not what I do. So we'll see what happens. If you're in and around Detroit and you have a spare room, shoot me a line. I might be out your way very soon. I'm John. This has been the Abracast. Stay tuned if you want to hear about how important lady impacted the show. Made the show happen, maybe. We can even say that.
You can find Stigmata Studios, graphic, novels, and comic books. Take control of your destiny. Understand your past. Put your present in context. And know your future. With a twist. Check out the designs and watch the videos about the Abracast Tarot card deck. Your body is your temple, so let's make sure you got a badass t-shirt on it. Variety of cool occult themed t-shirts. And other merch like stickers, wall art, mugs, and more. Welcome to the Red Archive. Get access to over 50 hours of archived episodes, more bonus audio, additional exclusive content. All this for only $1 a month. Are you interested in the occult, history, conspiracy, and violence? Learn more at Abracast.com. Thank you for listening, and we hope that you enjoyed the show. Please send an email or find us on social media and let us know what you think about the show. We would appreciate it if you would give us a 5-star rate and review wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
Alright, so hey, it's me, I'm back. I'm going to try to keep my shit together and also not talk too much. I just want to let you guys... I don't even know who would want to listen to this, but while I was growing up, I had a very chaotic kind of childhood, right? My parents were divorcing. I was like 5 years old. They did a lot of bouncing me back and forth. It seemed to me, the way that I still feel about it, was like, I don't want them, you take them. No, I don't want them, you take them. I had all kinds of fucking problems. There's all kinds of social, psychological things going on. But So I wound up spending a lot of time with my grandparents, and my grandparents had one, two, three, four, five, had like 6 kids, and one of them was real close to my age, my aunt Kimmy. The other ones were kind of older, my mom's age, or a little bit older than that, and then Kimmy was there, and she was a few years older than me, but she was like my babysitter, like my best friend. As she got older, she was like, would drive me around. And then when she left the house and had her own apartment, we would go over. I'm not saying that Kimmy was specifically the cool aunt. One of the things I actually lucked out on is the number of cool aunts that I had in my life. Like, Kimmy was a cool aunt, and she was into all this weird shit like we're into. Even as we were growing up, we would have like those Reader's Digest, like mysterious universe books laying around the house. And I even talk about it in the About section on the website. Not specifically Kimmy, but like the books and stuff that were like laying around. So there were like the Time Life, books, and, Nazi documentaries, and always UFOs, and we'd stay up late and watch In Search Of. So my grandparents' house was where I stayed up late. Like, I could stay up late there. If I was staying up late with the old man, it was MASH and Benny Hill. But I was staying up late with Kimmy, it was like In Search Of and fucking Fantasy Island and weird shit like that. I remember getting so freaked out over alien abductions when I was a little kid. I was like, they could just come in and take you. Like, they could just do that. Like, that could just fucking happen. And we'd stay up late, looking out the windows, looking for fucking motherships coming down to abduct people. And that's just the kind of chick she was. Like, she was down, and it was cool. And she had some UFO experiences, and she would talk to me about them. And then, as we were growing up, and she had some ghost experiences in this house that we were both familiar with and spent some time in. It's actually, I don't want to give it away. I don't want to dox anybody. The dude that invented bicycle seats built this house. And it had like secret compartments. Google nowadays, who knows what it's going to find out. But it has like secret passageways and secret compartments. I spent a great deal of time in this house growing up for one reason or another. Whatever, it's none of your fucking business. But there was like, at one point in time, a little, I shouldn't say that. Gee, my God. At one point in time, a diminutive Asian person lived in the basement of this house, and they built this giant, like, paper mache tree. And it was so weird and creepy. Anyhow, this house was fucking, there was a lot of things going on in it, right? But she had, like, spiritual things, stories going on in it, and she had some UFO sort of stories. She had stories, is what I'm saying, and she was down with all this stuff, and she really fostered that in me. Last week I spent a lot of time talking about like my natal chart. I almost said my prenatal chart. Like, I'm a doctor. But my wife ran this natal chart for me, and like over and over again in this chart, it was like, it was like, skip it. This guy's going to be obsessed with the occult and the paranormal stuff. And Kimmy was just down. She was just there. And she let me be interested in it. And I remember like, I remember just talking to her and hanging out and watching, here's another bit. Superhost in Cleveland in the 80s. They had a Saturday morning guy who dressed up like Superman. His name was Superhost. And later on in his life, before he passed away, we actually became Facebook friends, me and this guy. His, he wasn't Superhost or whatever. But I think, like, there's rappers that sing fucking raps about him. And, like, check out the Friday soundtrack. There's a song in there called Superhost, and I think they're talking about my fucking Superhost from Cleveland. Anyhow, we would wake up on Saturdays and they would do a couple Three Stooges episodes and then Godzilla movies. And I was all about it. I mean, how could I not be? Fucking Three Stooges and Godzilla? So anyhow, I drew all this Godzilla bullshit. You know, this fucking 7-year-old kid drew all this Godzilla bullshit. And she helped me send it to fucking Superhost. And he put it up all on the air. I was 7 years old. It was UAB Channel 43 in Cleveland. And Superhost was standing there and goes, yeah, hey, John Towers, this 7-year-old kid. And he put all my fucking shit up on the air. And I was freaking the fuck out. Anyhow, Kimmy had a pretty epic battle with cancer. And she lost it the other day. I'm John, and this is the Abracast. See you guys next week.